Hello everybody, how's it going, and welcome back to a Rambler video. Yeah, some interesting stuff came out in the past couple of days, well, 2 days ago now. There was a reported leak made for Nintendo's new system, the Nintendo NX. And of course we still don't know if that's even the name technically. Nintendo has been very hush-hush about it, besides a few leaks and a couple of things they've said about functionality with mobile gaming and all that kind of stuff, but it'd be interesting to see when they actually tell us what the hell this console actually is, and we get it from Nintendo themselves. You know, I'm hoping it's sometime in the, near future, but it's going to be hard to say for sure. However, this guy who leaked it has leaked many things in the past and been entirely correct. He's been very reliable so far, including things like the existence of Microsoft's Room, PlayStation 4 being capable of running modern-day graphics on its hardware, which I don't really see as a leak. I see as just no shit, but okay. And the new Pokemon types and forms in Pokemon X and Y when it before it came out. So, he's got a decent track record overall. I mean, one of those things really is kind of like a, really? It's going to run actual graphics? No fucking shit. Holy crap, that's like, I thought it was going to be 16 bits. Like, okay, I don't really see how that's a leak, but whatever. But anyway, he has said some things about the NX, and it's made nice and bullet pointed here. I just want to talk about the bullet points and stuff. I mean, if they're true, awesome. If they're not, oh well. But it's kind of interesting just to kind of go through them and see if this rumor about the NX makes it look like an appealing console, because the NX has had quite a lot of controversy floating around it, and it has quite a lot of shit about it that, makes sense and doesn't make sense. And, there's been a lot of rumble and grumble about it. So if some of these are true, that would be kind of good, actually, that we have maybe some solid stuff that can put some more, is this a console that is going to be decent and up to par, or is it going to be lackluster again and fail in the face of everything like the Wii U unfortunately has. I like the Wii U, but a lot of people don't. I understand that. But anyway, let's go through the bullet points and just briefly talk about it. First one, it has a wireless HDMI dongle that attaches flush to the back of the device. You can pull it out and insert it into any display with a normal size HDMI output. That's kind of neat, I guess. I don't really know what the use is really going to be for a wireless HDMI dongle. I'm assuming that it probably is going to have something to do with its wireless capabilities for mobile and stuff like the 3DS, for example, or some type of Bluetooth TV, maybe. That's kind of one that's more, what's it going to be used for? Second one, the device uses an evolved version of the Wii U's streaming tech to display in HD on the TV screen. In HD is a nice word there, but is it in HD like 720 or is it in HD 1080? Because that could make a difference. However, the Wii U streaming tech does work quite well for streaming onto TV and stuff like that. So that's a nice thing that they're kind of keep around. And honestly, I think that they should. I think it's definitely beneficial to kind of keep that. I think that they should keep, and this might be a point later on, but I'm going to say it now anyway, the Wii U gamepad, yeah, it's kind of bulky and stuff. Have it as a peripheral or a possibility of an extra thing to buy to attach to it, because there's many times that, not necessarily me because I have my own television, but families and stuff. My coworker who I work with and stuff, he's married with kids, so sometimes the wife or the kids want to watch TV, but he wants to play a game or excuse me, watch something on Netflix or whatever, so he can use the gamepad and they can use the TV, and everybody's happy. So something like that to have for the NX would be kind of cool as well, even if it's just an optional thing you can buy separately. I think it would be a good addition to it as well, while we're talking about stuff on the Wii U that will kind of port over. Next, analog controls for movement will have small motors for I completely screwed that up. Analog controls for movement have small motors in them for full haptic feedback. For example, it says here, if you control a character and hit a wall, the stick will move away from the wall to simulate hitting it. So example, when you hit something very hard with, a stick or a bar or something like that, like you hit a wall, it's not going to usually just stick in that wall, it's going to bounce back. And that's essentially what it's doing there, is the full feedback of that. So when you do hit a wall with something with these sticks, it's going to try and come back. So you can have kind of control and so more or less kind of having recoil in the controller. I think that's kind of cool, and if they correctly if they can correctly put this into some games and have this as a feature that is complementary to the gameplay and not just a gimmick, then I think this could be something really, really cool. There's lots of games and stuff like that where you have to go around, survival games, horror games, shooters and stuff, where you have the recoil, and I think that would be kind of cool. Even just having like your basic Call of Duty, having that haptic feedback with recoil on guns, so you can kind of have better control over it. I think that would be kind of a cool feature, to be totally honest. Something different at the very least. And it'd be really nice too is if it has it, and games have the option to turn it off as well, just because there are going to be some people that just don't want to have that and won't like it, and that's completely understandable. So if it's an optional thing that people that want to have it can, people that don't want to have it don't, it's a nice little feature, I think, at least. Next point, Bluetooth sync with tons of devices is supported, including smartphones and tablets. Okay, I don't know what else you would really, I mean, speakers and stuff, I guess, laptops maybe, but smartphones and tablets are going to be the main thing. Now, smartphones makes a lot of sense, and tablets as well, because of the way they're going with mobile gaming and stuff like that, with the new Nintendo program, with Miitomo coming out, with Pokemon Go coming out, with all the other games that they said that they're kind of working on for mobile. Having kind of that cross-compatibility support with Bluetooth device on the NX could be beneficial. For example, if they make a Pokemon game on the NX, and you have Pokemon Go, and being able to seamlessly Bluetooth, say, Pokemon that you've caught on Pokemon Go to this new Pokemon game, whether it's a new Coliseum or something, or whatever, that could, you know, or a new stadium, whatever, it could be kind of cool. And, you know, but quite beneficial and a nice addition to the console. So that is what they're probably going to go with that, and that makes a ton of sense. And Bluetooth sync is something that is definitely long overdue, and every device should just have at this point. So that's a nice addition. That I can actually believe will definitely be there. Next point, you can answer phone calls and display text messages from your phone onto NX screens. And there's a brackets behind the S for screens. So that'll be interesting too, I guess. I don't know. Text messages, maybe, answer phone calls and stuff. I have my phone for that, really. If I'm doing something and I really have to, you know, I can't be at my phone. My phone has speakerphone, so I can just set it on a counter if I'm like preparing dinner or something like that. You know, I don't know. It's kind of, that seems kind of like a by the wayside. It's not going to be used very much kind of thing. You know, the texting, maybe if it kind of goes in with something else within the games, but or the phone calls, if it works maybe with some sort of like online chat for games on it or something maybe, but I can't really see that being a huge feature that everybody's going to really use. Next point, it is closest to the Xbox One in terms of power. Now, closest, does that mean it is a little bit better than the Xbox One but worse than the PS4, or is it worse than the Xbox One for power? Because the thing with that is the Xbox One is already being reamed harshly for its lack of power to the PS4. Now, the Xbox One has done a lot of things right, including backtracking when they basically fucked themselves over and shot themselves both in the foot, leg, hip, and chest back in E3 before the release. However, the NX really does need to step it up. It can't be a subpar system to the others. It really has to be in pace with the next-gen hardware on the Xbox One and PS4. If it's a little bit better than the Xbox One, but not as good as the PS4, that's okay. It can work with that, and it can go with that if it has the features that make it an appealable console to everybody. So if it has things like people, for example, with Pokemon Go, if it has a new Pokemon game that works with Bluetooth sync on the console between the two games, that is something people are going to buy this console for. They're going to want this console for that type of meaning. However, people are going to be discouraged if it is worse than the two leading consoles right now. If it is worse than the Xbox One for graphics and power, it's going to hurt them in the long run. Again, it's probably not going to hurt them as bad as the Wii U is right now, but it is going to hurt them later on. So that's something that is kind of vague. If it is better than the Xbox One, worse than the PS4, that's fine. If it's worse than the Xbox One, it could equate to not as good sales as it could have had. So next, that's what I think anyway. Next point. All tech involved uses the exact same hardware layout as the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. So essentially what's inside is going to be the same sort of deal as what's inside an Xbox One or PS4. That's kind of nice. That does point more to me thinking it's going to be a little bit better than the Xbox One and worse than the PS4, so that's kind of nice. There's not a lot said about that though, so we don't know what the hardware is in it. The same layout, sure, but what is in it, who knows? So that's kind of a wait and see what they say kind of point. Next point, this is a longer one. Any game that can run on PlayStation 4 or Xbox One can easily run on the NX with almost no modifications required. This is even more true if the game runs on Android OS or Unreal Engine 4. One third-party developer said, "It's the easiest device we've developed for. You just take your code, compile it, and it works." So essentially any game that can run on PlayStation 4 or Xbox One can easily run on the NX. So they're not saying that right out of the box you can take your PS4 game that is a PS4 game and play it on your NX, because one, there would be all of the lawsuits from that. Both Microsoft and Sony would literally team up for that and just go after Nintendo, and they would win very easily, because that would be complete I guess it'd be under copyright in some description, but it'd be a complete rip-off of them, and that's not cool. However, what they're actually saying is that any game that is currently on these two systems can easily be coded in a way that is easy enough for developers to actually care to do it, and then release their games for the Nintendo NX. Instead of just like playing a PS4 game. That's crazy. That's only ever happened, as far as I know, one time in gaming history, and that is with the ColecoVision having the attachment for the Atari 2600 games. So that's kind of crazy. But yeah, they're not saying that. They're saying that it's going to be easier for third-party developers to actually code and rework their current games or future games and put them on the NX. So if there is a third-party developer, and this is not just a fake quote, and third-party developers are interested now and seeing what this console can offer, that's a good thing. That means Nintendo's going to have third-party support again, which they haven't had for a very, very long time. I would argue they haven't had good third-party support since the Super Nintendo. Yes, the Wii had plenty of third-party games on it and stuff, but I mean, they were mostly kids' games, so there wasn't too much that was third-party. There was a lot of second-party, but not so much third-party, so yeah, it'd be nice to see a Nintendo console with good third-party support, along with your first and second-party Nintendo games that people flock to the console for in the first place. That's a good thing. That's something that people are going to like, and so that people are going to go and buy this console for. So that's great. If that's true, that's great. Next point. We should look to Pokemon Go to get an idea of the type of social features that will be in the NX. Well, we can't look at Pokemon Go yet because really it hasn't been released. However, the way that Pokemon Go has been touted and talked about, that's kind of a good thing, and that points more towards Pokemon Go being compatible with the console to be able to sync to another Pokemon game on the console. So that could be a very good thing. We won't know fully until Pokemon Go is fully released and this console comes out and we know how they really talk to each other. Next. It will take multiplayer, AR, and the Street Pass concept to a whole new level. Well, that's fantastic. Good for them. Multiplayer is multiplayer. Really, the Wii U multiplayer stuff is fine. For example, Splatoon, the matchmaking stuff, I've only ever dropped out of one game, and that was my internet connection. That fucked it up because the internet was on the fritz that day. I've never dropped out of a game otherwise. The multiplayer is smooth, there was no lag, it was great online. The fact that there's no voice chat is kind of nice, to be totally honest. I think we should have maybe the option of having voice chat, so maybe that's what they mean. They're going to actually put in voice chat, which would mean Nintendo-branded headsets are possibly coming, which could be interesting. However, for now we don't know, but having the option for voice could be nice, but the option to turn it off would also be nice, because I don't want to be playing Splatoon and just be like hearing kids talking about fucking my mother. I just, you know, it's Splatoon. I don't give a shit. It's not COD. I'm not looking to, like, you know, argue with a bunch of kids. It's just Splatoon. I want to be a squid now. I want to be a kid now. Like, just let me do that and leave me alone. But anyway, next point. The strengths of the device are its usability and ease of use. That's fantastic. Not really a point, though. That's like a marketing thing. It's like, this device is pretty damn good, and it's really easy to use. It's like, okay, great. What else can you tell me? Next point. Devs describe it visually and functionality as if Samsung and the Nintendo 2DS had a baby. I don't know what to think about that. And the Samsung and Nintendo 2DS having a kid. That's It's interesting. I don't know. I guess... I don't know. I've kind of a useless point, really. Interesting talking points, I guess, but that's about it. Next point. It looks friendly, but unlike what most people believe Nintendo device should typically look like. Now that I can believe will happen. Nintendo is really going to have to go a new direction. Yes, Nintendo has all the money in the fucking world and could literally do, like, complete failures for the next, like, 100 years and still have, like, $1 billion in the bank. However, it's still not good because they could lose shareholders if this console flops. They could lose a lot of stuff, a lot of momentum, and they could eventually just end up like Sega if it continues the way the Wii U is headed. So that's not something we want. So hopefully Nintendo can make a device that looks visually interesting and is also works well. So next point. The operating system, named Nintendos. That is the perfect name. That is actually the best idea for a name for an OS I've ever heard in my life. Like Nintendos, Nintendo OS. That's amazing. That's actually amazing. I love that. That's so good. That's really clever. Good job, Nintendo, for being actually clever. Anyway, the operating system, named Nintendos, is very powerful and has many modern features of mobile operating systems. So essentially, it's a mobile operating system on a home console, which, again, means what I essentially think the NX, and from these points especially really solidifying that, the NX is going to do is it's going to be a home console with the power of the Xbox One, about on par, I'm going to say, with the Xbox One, with a lot of syncing and capabilities to work with Nintendo mobile apps, the 3DS, and other such devices, Android devices, maybe Apple iOS, who knows, for that kind of stuff. So that's what it's really kind of looking at for me, and if they can pull that off, it could be good. If they make a powerful home console with this other stuff on top of it, with extra, then it could do very, very well. Anyway, next point. Nintendo is trying to be very careful in showing it off for fear it would be mistaken running as Android. So they're more or less trying to prepare the conference, the Nintendo Direct that does announce all of this, in a way that does not confuse it with the Android operating system, more probably in the fear that Google's going to sue them. But, you know, they really can't unless it's exactly the same, but whatever. So, you know, I guess that's a good thing. That they're kind of being careful and trying to make sure that when they announce it, there's no real confusion. So, you know, Nintendo's been pretty good at that overall, so, you know, that's fine. And the very last point, the last point of this entire thing, very strong network functions. As it ties into multiple devices and services, this allows for a very competent, persuasive ecosystem designed to constantly involve the consumer's life. So, yeah, essentially it's going to be a home console and everything else. So, home console with device support for mobile apps and stuff like that. So that could be pretty cool. If they do it correctly, if they know what they're doing and how to do it, and they integrate these things more seamlessly than they would be, say, otherwise, so just not gimmicky as fuck, then it could be a good console. I think the NX, from reading this, and honestly from the things I have heard lately, I mean, the initial rumors and stuff when they first announced it was more or less just people ratting on Nintendo because they want to. There was no real hard evidence. I mean, technically there isn't here either. Again, this is all rumors, but it does all sound like the way that Nintendo is going with this console. And if it is, I think it could end up being a good console, a nice seller. It could be in direct competition with the Xbox One, and to a degree the PS4. However, the PS4 has run away with this generation. That's just something that's not... The only way the Nintendo NX could catch up with the PS4 theoretically is if they priced it low as hell. If they priced it as a $200 device, they could catch up. However, I don't think they can afford to price it that way. It's probably going to be the same price as the Wii U is now, so $299 in the US, $329 in Canada. And that's essentially what I'm thinking the price point is probably going to be, is it's going to be par with what the Wii U is now. And they did price it at $199. If they could afford to price it at $199, it could be more than competitive. It'll pass Xbox if it's a decent console, and it should at least come somewhere in the vicinity of catching up with PS4. It'll probably take them quite a while, though, if they can even manage it. I don't think that's the goal here. I think the goal is more in just making a Nintendo console that is now caught up with the modern day and trying to you know, dig themselves out of the hole that has happened with the Wii U. So I hope they can do that. It looks promising if this is all true, and I can't wait to actually hear something from the dog's mouth itself. So let me know what you think of this. I'll put a link to the article in the description as well with all these talking points and everything, so you can read it for yourself. Let me know what you think about the NX, if you think it's going to be a flop, if you think it's going to be a decent console from what you're seeing so far, and what you're looking forward to the console possibly doing that the Wii U really doesn't, or that other consoles don't do, that Nintendo could take advantage of. Also, what do you think about the Nintendo OS, Nintendos? I think that's amazing. That name just sells me on this concept entirely. If that's actually what it's called, they win. I don't even care. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Peace.